All right. Good day, everyone. Good day to all our participants. It's another insightful edition of a masterclass under the Precision Agriculture Incubation Program. And I am glad that since the commencement of this program, this is actually last week in this program. So we are approaching the closing ceremony soon. So, and in this last week, we are going to be we've been discussing insights around drone technology in satellite imagery and different spaces. So yesterday we had introduction to drone business and entrepreneurship from Mr. Henokumo, the founder of Global Hair University. And today we are going to be having Ms. Kat James, the founder of 400 Feet. She's going to be taking us through personal and corporate branding, leveraging LinkedIn. She's been doing so amazing on LinkedIn. She's one of the people I follow and I cherish what she's doing. She's been very amazing. I really like that. So before we go deep into the proper, so let me just quickly talk about this. So for the program, this is just an excerpt of the field experience of the program. Uh, we are raising agricultural remote pilot through this program. So and we have a lot of this. So these are classroom sections for drone building, fixed wing drone building. These are sorts of master classes we've had on various topics and presentations. So these are actually field experiences, the classroom drone building here. So these are master classes, a lot of that. So the participants were able to build this and have it around. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, I would like to also talk about the organizer, which is Precision Field Academy. Why are we doing what we are doing? So, just a slight introduction into Precision Field Academy. So, okay, uh, this is Precision Field Academy. At Precision Field Academy, our vision is to create a world where every young person, regardless of their background, I want to put this up. Okay, sorry about that. So, okay, let me go back. So, welcome to Precision Field Academy once again. So, at Precision Field Academy, our vision is to create a world where every young person, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to become a digitally savvy farmer or agricultural professional, driving sustainable and equitable growth in their communities through the transformative power of technology. And our mission is to raise next gen farmers that are tech inclined and digitally savvy. So at Precision Field Academy, we are a social enterprise. We indulge in training and building the capacity of young professionals in modern and emerging technology for the future of work and to lead with precision agriculture. So in our methodology, we believe in core three methodology, which is education and knowledge sharing, training and skill development, coaching and mentorship. So in lieu of this, we have tech skills in focus, which are basically C's. Number one is drone technology. We are harnessing the power of drone technology in the aspect of data collection, pest management, understanding crop health, and monitoring the entire agricultural activities, leveraging the power of drones to actually initiate precision efficiency and also help farmers farm more sustainably. So number two, we have our GIS and remote sensing. This is about collection of data to the space, geospace, satellite imageries, and also leveraging drones in remote sensing. This actually large area of data that can actually help agricultural professionals, yes, to actually practice more efficiently and um, thrive very well. So we have data science for agriculture, number three. So this deals with collection of data, array of data around plant evaluation, plant classification, and various grades of data around the use of agriculture. So we have robotics and Internet of Things. Under robotics and Internet of Things, we have this is about product development of expert systems. Like we have systems that can actually monitor the quality level of imagine a fish pond or an aquaculture uh, project where you can monitor the quality level of your water for your fish, and also for smart irrigations like in farmland where you have moisture sensor dictates the water content in the soil, triggers this irrigation system to actually wet your farmland. So also we have artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is about building AI enabled systems that can actually give predictions to actually mitigate risk, detecting disease outbreaks and all of that to actually uh, help farmers to take proactive measures to address this. And lastly, we have enterprise development. So the goal of everything we are doing here is for young people to actually develop solutions, initiatives can actually bring to life to counter and solve life terrifying problems, mostly in the sphere of agriculture, where we have a lot of problems that might sums up in terms of pests and diseases, a lot of unforeseen circumstances, and all of that. So they can actually develop products that can actually bring insight around the farming practices, which is going to help farmers to farm more better and efficiently. So why do we do what we do? We discovered there's a skill gap that needs to be closed, and young professionals are need to build skills on both the technical and enterprise skill for the future of work in agriculture. And also, for the youth, observing the trend is not enough. It's not enough to be amazed by the technology. Youth actually need to become an enabler and a player in the fourth industrial revolution and not mere observer. That is, it's about inclusion, you getting your hands dirty, getting on board, uh, bringing initiatives and solving problems through product development. And lastly, technology is the key to unlock African agricultural potential. So, for African agriculture to thrive effortlessly, we need to leverage the power of technology. So, why should you join us at Precision Field Academy? The reason why you should join us is that we are creating a future we want in agriculture, and we connect you also to the world of information and opportunity. We come in terms of scholarship, internship, and volunteership on both local and international scale for your career growth. Also, we have skill development through project collaboration, community interaction, workshops, and symposiums. And lastly, you have access to coaching and mentorship from industry leaders and global professionals. Thank you. So, without further ado, let me quickly give us a slight introduction about our speaker before I call that on. Okay, so we are live now, so we progress forward. Um, so, our speaker for today is Ms. Kat James, and she's going to be taking us on the topic personal and corporate branding leveraging LinkedIn. This is what she's been doing. So she's going to be sharing more of a practical engagement or practical experience to us on how she runs a LinkedIn project, and she has been building credibility and influence leveraging LinkedIn. So let me quickly read her profile. So Kat James is a drone and geospatial data consultant based in Nairobi, Kenya. She was a member of the 2022 LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program, and she uses the platform to create and share content about the use of drones for good, in quotes, drones for good. So she is followed by over 21,000 industry professionals. Kat has over a decade of experience working as an intersection of emerging technologies and global health, working on projects in over a dozen countries around the world. As a consultant, she helps researchers, NGOs, and social goods organizations amplify their impact through the use of drone technology. Ms. Scott, you are very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you facilitate this training this morning. And I believe that our participants are also expectant to actually learn from your wealth of experience. So you have the floor now. Thank you very much for being around. I think about your slide. Um, okay.
Hi there, happy to be there.
Yes, yes, yes. You are audible. I can hear you.
Okay, give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I add the right slides. Yeah, okay, I think these are them. Yeah, so I'm so happy to be here and we can get started. So yeah, as Joseph mentioned, today I'll be leading a session on personal and corporate branding, leveraging LinkedIn. So Joseph just gave you a great introduction, but yeah, just a few quick points. My name is Kat James. I'm the founder of 400 Feet, a drone and data consultancy based in Nairobi, Kenya. And among other things, I create Drones for Good content on LinkedIn. And for me, LinkedIn has been kind of the main way that I do marketing for my business and how I generate leads. And so for me, now most of my clients that I get from my consultancy are inbound, which means that I'm not actually reaching out to them, but rather they're contacting me with different projects. And so at the core of it, to create that kind of marketing engine, it's really helpful to develop a strategic personal and corporate brand to be able to leverage those types of relationships. So I want to start with this graphic because I think it's really helpful for people to understand. A couple of years ago, I had a mentor explain this to me, and I think it's something that we don't talk about enough as professionals. But basically, he described professional success as a three-legged stool that's made up of your technical skills, your personal brand, and your professional network. And you need all three of these things working in unison in order to be successful. So the idea is, let's say you have the best technical skills in the world and you're amazing at what you do. If you don't have a solid personal brand and people don't know, what you do, then you're not going to be successful. Conversely, even if you have amazing technical skills and you're very clear on what you do and who you serve, if you don't have a strong professional network, it's going to be really hard to land clients. At the same time, you could have, an amazing personal brand and a great professional network, but if you don't have the technical skills to actually do the work, then you're not going to get hired either. So you really need all three elements of this triangle in order to be successful. And so I think something that I see a lot, and this was definitely true of myself in the past, is that I think that there's a tendency to only focus on your technical skills. We do training programs, we go to grad school, but often we don't give enough time and attention to these other two elements that are really critical for our success. So with that, I introduce you to Personal Branding 101. So today we're going to talk about what is a personal brand and why you need one. So a personal brand is essentially how you are known by others. And a number of different things encompass your own personal brand. So your personal brand is made up by your expertise. So this is your specific skills and knowledge. It's your identity, so who you are and what you stand for. It's your target audience, so who are the people that you help and what are the problems that you solve. And it's your personal story. Because at the end of the day, people want to work with people, not companies. Sure, your company might have its own brand, but people want to know, like, and trust you, the person that they're working with. And so when you're creating your personal brand, your goal is to be able to update your various like personal branding assets, which is like your LinkedIn profile and your website, so that people can quickly understand exactly what you do and who you help. And so why do you need a personal brand? More than anything, a personal brand allows you to stand out in a competitive market. So you can think about, let's say, in the context of working in precision agriculture, maybe you're somebody who specializes in working with avocado farmers. If you incorporate, working with avocado farmers as part of your personal brand, then when other avocado farmers talk to each other, you'll be recommended. People will see you and they'll identify as like, oh, like, yeah, I'm an avocado farmer. I should work with this person. So it helps you attract ideal clients. And it makes it a whole lot easier to simplify and streamline your marketing efforts because you're really narrowing in on your ideal client and the person that you're trying to help. And also with that, it also makes your operations more streamlined, because if you can make it so the majority of your clients are avocado farmers, then you can become excellent at delivering for those specific clients, as opposed to having, working with a bunch of different types of farmers and having to have a number of different workflows going in your business. So if you can really narrow down on this, it just really increases the efficiency of your operations. And so I do want to note today, I'll be talking about LinkedIn, but the information that I'm going to share can be applied to whatever platform you use. And so when you're thinking about where your personal brand comes into play, it's important to consider where your ideal clients spend their time and when selecting a platform to use. So for me, the people that I'm trying to reach, they're on LinkedIn, which is why I chose to invest my time and energy on this platform. But, maybe it's, WhatsApp, or it's Facebook, or, I don't know, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. It all depends on, who the people that you're trying to reach and where they're spending their time. And so grabbing a couple examples from the drone industry, I pulled some people who I think have really strong personal brands. So of course, you'll see Femi there. And I think that Femi has done an excellent job of branding himself as the expert in the precision agriculture space. And so now when anybody comes to me with, looking for advice on precision agriculture, I send them to Femi. Similarly, there are other professionals in the space, like Gemma Alcock, who is the CEO of Skybound Rescuer, and she's really honed herself as the expert in drones for public safety. We have Queen, who's the head of South Africa Flying Labs, and she's really branded herself as the expert in drones for disaster preparedness. David Guerin is a consultant for the World Bank, and he's an expert in drone safety and regulations. Debbie Saunders is, the go-to expert for wildlife conservation. And Inno, who spoke to you all yesterday, has really branded himself as the go-to drone business coach. And so you may be wondering, how do personal brands play out in the real world? And the truth of the matter, within the drone industry and within the sector, a lot of the jobs and a lot of the work that's happening is occurring on a really informal basis, and there aren't necessarily like job postings that people are applying to. So your personal brand is really core in helping you get and land work. And so one example of this, someone in my network, Melissa, this is an example from last year. She posted on LinkedIn and did a little bit of a reintroduction to her audience and shared a little bit about, who she is, what she's doing, what she cares about. And so within this post, I gave it a skim and I saw okay, she's, a conservation researcher working with drones. She's an expert in BVLOS operations, and she's working in the Indian Ocean. So then I kind of filed away that information. Then a couple of months later, I was having a conversation with a totally different person on WhatsApp from the World Bank, and he reached out to me and he was wondering, he was looking for somebody who was an expert in conservation and BVLOS operations in the Maldives. And so when he said that to me, I remembered Melissa, and I was like, oh, I know the perfect person for you. And so I shared her LinkedIn profile, which of course had, incorporated the elements of her personal brand. And then he ended up setting up a call with her, and she landed that consulting job. And so it's like, these are the types of interactions that are happening behind the scenes and how a lot of people are gaining work. Another example of this, again, last year, Peter, who's a drone operator in Kenya, we had met at an event, and he reached out to me after meeting me and just gave me, a very brief bio about, who he is. He's a drone operator based in Kenya who's also a freelance writer, and let me know how we know each other. So again, I kind of file away that information. And then a couple of months later, I was looking to hire a freelance writer who also specialized in creating drone content. And so I thought of Peter, and then I just reached out to him directly, and I ended up hiring him for a project. And so again, I never posted a job, Peter never applied to a job. It's all happening really informally. And so when looking at, my own personal brand, I first kind of tried to analyze, okay, what am I trying to do and who am I trying to help? And for me, my ideal audience and the people that I want to help are researchers, NGOs, and social good organizations that want to leverage drones and spatial data to elevate their impact. That's what I'm trying to do. Those are the people I'm trying to go after. So you can imagine, for me, members of my target audience are part of, these organizations on the right. And it's kind of encompassed by this concept of drones for good. And you can see how this plays out into my various LinkedIn assets. And so given the fact that I have narrowed down that audience, and I've created this kind of drones for good brand, it makes it really clear, what I talk about and what I don't talk about. And when I'm thinking about creating content or even taking on projects, it's very obvious, what things are aligned with my personal brand. So for instance, things that I will talk about in LinkedIn include medical drone delivery, drones for reforestation, precision agriculture, drones for disaster management, maybe the importance for localization. I share a lot of peer-reviewed research because I know that those types of topics are things that, my ideal audience and my ideal client, they're really interested in those things. Conversely, there's a whole bunch of things that I could talk about, but that I don't talk about. And so these include, military use cases of drones, like, European drone regulations, drones for construction, real estate, public safety, like how to pitch hotels for brand deals using drones. And those are all things that are could be very valid things to talk about on LinkedIn if they were part of your personal brand. So by defining what your personal brand is, it helps you figure out what you do and you do not talk about. And so how do you go about building your personal brand? The first step kind of requires some self-discovery. So I want you to write down these questions and think about the answers to them. So you want to answer, how would you describe what you do? For instance, I work in precision agriculture for avocado farmers. Example. You want to indicate, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? And is that something that you want to build into your personal brand? You want to think about, what would you like to be known for? And how would you describe your ideal audience or client? And then what exactly is the problem that you solve, or how do you bring value to those clients? And I do want to flag that at the beginning, this exercise can induce some imposter syndrome and can make you feel like, oh, well, I don't do these things yet. I can't say that I'm doing them. And I just want to let you know that at the beginning, when you're creating your personal brand, it can and it probably should be. Yeah, it can and should be aspirational, meaning that you should write out who you want to be helping or what services you want to offer. And while, of course, you shouldn't exaggerate or lie or anything like that, if you brand yourself as, I do precision agriculture for avocado farmers, very quickly, avocado farmers will see that and they will come to you and you will start doing that work. So as long as you are confident that you can deliver on what you're saying, like you want to start baking that in to your personal brand, and it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so with that, once you answer those questions, you want to incorporate what you just drafted into your core assets. And so what your personal brand core assets are is a 30-second elevator pitch, your LinkedIn headline, your LinkedIn about section, your website homepage, and your website about page. And so you want to make sure that all of those assets are aligned and you have a coherent story and narrative that you're sharing in all of those places. And so at the core of it, what you're trying to create is you want to answer the question, you want to be able to answer the statement like, I'm an X who does X, or I help X do X. And so, and that's probably, once you nail down what, fill in the blanks for those X's, what that is for you, then that often becomes like, the first sentence of your elevator pitch or the first sentence of your about section. And so something else that I want to flag for you all is that your personal brand can and will change and evolve over time. And so you just have to get started and choose something, and you can always change your mind later and modify your personal brand. But you need to start by creating a cohesive personal brand and trying it out for a couple of months. And if you try it out and you decide, this doesn't feel right, or this isn't really working for me, you can always tweak it and make changes later. And so to give an example of this, before I entered the drone industry, I was working in product for global health tech companies. So for me at the time, my whole personal brand was, I'm a product manager that works with global health tech companies. And that's how my LinkedIn was branded. That's how I introduced myself to people. But then over time, I was like, I want to try something different. And I want to, break into the drone industry. So with that, I had to redo my personal brand, and I turned it into, I'm a drone consultant that helps social good organizations leverage drone technology. And so I just want to get in your head that while, it's a lot to kind of create, you can always change and update these things over time and evolve. So don't feel paralyzed by, I don't know exactly what I want to do, so I can't get started. So once you've figured out, answered those questions, created your core assets, you want to go through and make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized. And so your LinkedIn profile, oftentimes people will view your profile more than they view like your website. And so it's really important that your LinkedIn profile is almost like a landing page for you. So you want people to be able to arrive on your profile and within 10 seconds be able to understand who you are, what you're about, what you do. And so with that, you want to review your profile and ask yourself, do you have a high quality profile picture? Is your profile picture close up so can people see your face, or is it like you standing far away with a drone where they can't really tell who you are? Do you have one of those header banners? Have you optimized your headline? Is your about section telling a story? Is your featured section optimized? And do you have creator mode on? And so I'm taking some examples from Inno and my profile pages so you can see what this looks like. So you can see that both of us have those header banners that are aligned with both of our personal brands. And then within those banners, you can see that, over here, he clearly states, what he does and who he helps. He has that actually listed in the header of his LinkedIn. We both include calls to action. So things that we want people who see us, actions we want them to take. So for him, he wants people to join his 8-week program. I want people to sign up for my email newsletter. And he also includes some credibility markers. So, press that he's been seen in. And then, we both have optimized headlines where it says, what we do. We have, high quality profile pictures that are kind of close-ups of our faces. And then we both have links to either our website or lead magnets, either in the profile section or in the featured section of our pages. And so if you want to create a really helpful resource for creating these banners and for creating your profile picture is a tool called Canva. I'm pretty sure everything that you would need to create this header you can do for free on Canva. And it's a tool that makes it really easy to do graphic design. And you can also upload a photo of yourself. And if there's a bunch of stuff in the background, it has this really easy button that you can click that will get rid of the things in the background. And you can just turn it into a colored, static background, which really helps with, the quality of the photo. So now that we've covered kind of the core of personal branding, I want to get into the topic of strategic networking, which was, the other corner of that triangle that I showed you at the beginning. And so it's really important to curate your network, especially on LinkedIn, because the way that LinkedIn works is that when somebody likes or engages with your content, like they like a post, LinkedIn will show your post to their audience. And so it's really, and so that's kind of how, your personal brand and your company's profile gets shown to more and more people. And so it's really important that the followers that you have in your network are made up of your target audience, because if you don't, you will have low engagement. And so how this often plays out, I see this all the time, is somebody will start, maybe they're branching into a new industry and they start creating content, and the content that they're making is amazing and it's incredible, but nobody that's following them is interested in that topic. So even though their content is great, nobody's liking it, and thus it's not being shared with other people, and it's not getting more engagement, and it's just kind of falling flat. And then that can be really disconcerting to people because they feel like, oh, I put all of this time and energy into making this and it didn't do anything. So it's really important that I'm saying you seed your audience with the right type of people. That way, that the people, the content that you're creating is actually reaching people who would be interested in it. So again, the example with me, I was previously working in digital health technologies. And so, while there's some overlap between like digital health tech and drone technology, they're pretty different audiences. So when I first started creating on LinkedIn, something that I started to do was seed my audience. So what that meant is that I reached out and I connected with a bunch of people that were in my target audience. So I reached out to every person who participated in the World Food Program Technical Working Group, all the UpDog members, which is the UAV for Payload Delivery Working Group. I reached out to everybody that worked in the Flying Labs network, everybody that attended the Drones for Development Conference and the Drones for Disaster Management Conference, and then everyone who's in the African Women in GIS LinkedIn group, because those are my people. I feel like those people that are in that group are going to be interested in my content. And so when you're connecting with people, something like, and this was a big eye opener. I actually had a coach who told me like, oh no, you're allowed to reach out to people. I didn't necessarily feel comfortable doing that before, but you can totally reach out to people. The thing that is important if you're going to connect with people is you don't want to be spammy. And the way to make this strategy work is you just create like a very simple template message. And so this is one that I frequently use where I say like, hi, whoever the person is, I noticed that you also attended the Drones for Disaster Management Conference. I'm always looking to connect with others working in the drone industry. I look forward to following your work on LinkedIn. And so this connection request works because it provides people enough context to accept the request. They know kind of who I am and what I do. But it also makes it clear that you don't necessarily need something from the person, because often on LinkedIn, a lot of people send these really spammy requests, or they ask for your time, and it feels like this big lift to say yes. Where with this, it's just like, I look forward to following your work on LinkedIn, and that's really easy. And so people will be like, oh yeah, totally, I'll definitely connect with this person. And so I think that there are now limits. Like previously with LinkedIn, you could do I don't know, 50 or 60 a week or something. Now I think that there's more limits on how many people you can connect with. So it's good to kind of look up what those are now. But if you can slowly but surely start seeding your audience with people who might be interested in your content, that's really helpful. And then over time, I'm now at a point where I don't need enough people in my audience are interested in my content, and so I don't need to do this anymore. But at the beginning, when you're getting those first couple thousand followers, it's really helpful to be able to build that momentum. So with that, I want you to think about the following questions. So, thinking about who are the type of people that would be most valuable to have in your network and in your audience. Think about, what types of groups do these people belong to? Do they work at particular organizations? Do they attend particular events? Do they follow specific people in the industry? And then you can go and look at those groups and those organizations, and you can check who's working for them, and then you can create lists of people to connect with. And then, create a plan. It could be 10, or just create a plan to start regularly connecting with people in your industry. Okay, now we're going to shift into creating engaging content. So when creating content, it's really helpful to define a set of content pillars. And what content pillars are they are just kind of broad topics that you talk about on the platform. And so usually, you can create your own plan, but usually you have say 5 topics that you might share about. So for a precision agriculture company, this might be, okay, we do, we want to be a thought leader in spraying. So, once a week or once every 2 weeks, we create a post about, spraying technology and, things that you need to know, and, how to clean your, whatever around that topic. You might also want to share, one of your content pillars will be project updates. So knowing that that's a content pillar, you'll remember anytime you go out and do a project in the field, you're like, okay, I'm going to snap a photo. And then in the future, when I need to give a project update, I have this photo and I can write a couple sentences and share it. And so once you have these pillars defined, it makes it a lot easier to create content, because you're not just, sitting there looking at a blank screen being like, oh, what do I talk about today? But, on your checklist, you might have okay, I need to create, a case study post about seeding today or something. And that's a lot easier to do. You can sit down and write that in 30 minutes as opposed to create content where it's what does that even mean? So this is a way to make it a lot easier to be able to create and generate content. Something that is important though with this is that you want to create content that either educates, entertains, or inspires. When creating content, it's best to focus on quality over quantity. I'd rather you post fewer posts, but they were really good and they were really high quality, than being I don't know what to share today, so I'm going to post a photo of my cat. That's not going to help you achieve your business goals. So you really want to be thoughtful about what is the type of content that you're sharing. And above all else, you want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there is adding value to the reader. And so with that, it can be kind of uncomfortable when you first start creating content, and there can be a lot of imposter syndrome there. But it's helpful if you take a step back and realize, like, it is not about you. You don't need to, you could, if you wanted to, share photos of yourself, but if that's not something that you're into, like, I don't really like showing photos of myself on my LinkedIn, so I don't. And you don't need to. It doesn't need to be. It's more about the value you're adding and like the resources that you're helping people with, or the interesting, thought-provoking comments you have. That's more important than just talking about like yourself on the platform. So it's very helpful to think about it that way. And kind of with that, I would say my biggest pro tip about creating content is that you want to focus on creating content that is highly shareable. And so the reason why you want to do this is because when you create a post that is highly shareable, and it's like something that people would want to share with other people, then it means that your content is being seen by more new potential customers, and it's going to lead to exponential follower growth. And so with that, like, while some of your content doesn't necessarily need to be shareable, having at least one or two content pillars where you are creating shareable content is really good for increased visibility. So for instance, like if you post a photo of yourself at a project and you say like, out in the field today doing a mapping project, like, while people might like that post, they're probably not going to share that post. And so what would be more valuable for getting new clients is creating like, my top 5 tips for conducting, a mapping project in southern Nigeria or something like that, where people who see that post, they're gonna be like, oh, this is so helpful, I'm going to share it. And then more people are seeing your work, and then they're like, oh, this person is an expert in drone mapping, and then they'll reach out to you. And so that's kind of the strategy that you want to go with. And then in terms of creating your content, I know that everybody is busy. I'm busy. I do not create content every day. I would not have the capacity or the headspace to be able to do that. Instead, the best approach is to batch your content. And so that's like blocking out time on your calendar, either once a week or once every couple of weeks. And you just sit down and you write a bunch of different posts. And then when you're doing it in that way, it allows you to be more strategic and kind of think through the things that I just discussed and be like, okay, like, is this post adding value? Does it align with my personal brand? And then with that, you can use tools like Buffer, or now LinkedIn actually has a native scheduler, and you can go in and you can schedule your posts to go out on different days. So even though you might sit down and you write all of your content on a Monday morning, you could write 2 weeks worth of content. Once you're done, then you go and you schedule it to go out one post a day for the next 2 weeks. And so that's like a huge time saver. And then you want to be posting on a consistent scheduler so that you stay top of mind for people in your audience, and they kind of know when to expect seeing from you. One thing that I do want to flag, though, is that when you decide to schedule your content or when to post, timing really matters, because the way that the LinkedIn platform works is that it looks at your engagement within the first 60 minutes. So if you post something and it gets a bunch of early likes, then LinkedIn, the platform, is going to be like, oh, this is a good post, I'm going to share it with more people. Or if you post and nobody likes it, then it's going to be like, this probably wasn't that high of quality, so we're going to stop showing it to people. So with that, if you post something at 9 at night and the majority of your audience is not online, it's probably not going to perform very well. Conversely, you might, like, I've had posts before where I sent something out at the wrong time and it didn't get any engagement, and then I just deleted it, I took it down, and then I reposted it during my ideal time window, and then it would get like 200 likes. And so it's really important to know the dynamic there. Otherwise, you're wasting your time creating content that nobody's going to see. And so, yeah, for me, I post at 10 a.m. Eastern time in the US, because for me, that means like, okay, the US my audience there is now awake and online. People in Europe are still online, and people in Africa are like ending their day. And so it's like the time where I can have the maximum reach for my audience. But it might be a different time depending on, you know, who you're trying to reach with your content. Yep. And so, and then with that, while you want to, you know, set up you want to write the content ahead and set it up to be scheduled. You also want to block out some time on the days that you post to engage with others in LinkedIn, to respond to all the comments that happen on your posts, and to you know, add high value comments on other people's posts, because that's another great way for people to find you. So if you know, let's say there's a thought leader in this space that you really respect. If he creates a post or she creates a post and you leave a really thoughtful comment on that post, everybody that sees that post will see your comment and they'll be like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm going to go check out that person and see what they're about. And so that's another great way to be able to get more leads and, you know, grow your network. So the other thing I want to mention is, you know, what is the anatomy of a good post? There's a couple kind of tips and tricks that can really make your post do better when, you know, and perform better and get more reach. And so one of the things to note is that it's really important to try, when possible, to start your post with some sort of hook. And so what that means is just something that's, you know, getting the person who's seeing the post, they're interested and they want to learn more. And with that, another pro tip is that a lot of people are looking at LinkedIn on their phones. And so when a post is displayed on somebody's phone, oftentimes, especially if there's an image, it'll only show the first 2 lines. And so you want to have something in that first 2 lines that's so interesting that they're going to click the see more button and read the full thing. And if the first 2 lines are really boring, then somebody's just going to scroll and they won't engage with it or see what you're trying to say. So like in this post, you know, the first 2 lines, they saw this is huge. And then they showed this image of this research article. And so they're like, oh, I'm curious. I want to know, what is this about? And so they click read more and read the post. It also is good to, you know, when possible, include summaries of content. And it's really important to space out your content. I typically put like 1 line or 1 sentence per line to make it easier for people to read and to make it skimmable. If you just post like a huge block of text that's like 3 paragraphs, nobody is going to be able to read what you're trying to share. So it's really important to add those formatting to make it easier for people to skim and to read. Other things about this post. So I know my audience well at this point, and so I know that my target audience typically really likes peer-reviewed research. So that was something that I did where I'm like, okay, I know this is probably going to perform well because this is something that is interesting to my audience. It educates and adds value. I'm including relevant hashtags. Just a note, I think LinkedIn is phasing out hashtags, so that's less important these days. But yeah, the result was that I think it says in here, I got 21 reshares of this post, and I can't see because my slide is covering it, but I got like, I don't know, a couple tens of thousands of views. And I can just see by the people who are engaging with my post that, yep, those are the people that are in my target audience. Another thing that's really great is you can use different platforms to analyze your analytics for your content and see what's working and what's not. So I personally use a platform called Shield, and it allows, so it shows, you know, it lists out all of your different posts and it shows how they performed. So how many times they were viewed, how many people liked them, how many times people left comments, how many times they were shared. And then you can click into them and it has additional information where you can see like who's liking this post and who's engaging with it. So, so this particular post that I selected, you know, 14% of the people who viewed it were from World Food Program, 13% were from UNICEF, 7% were from the World Bank, 6% were from a civil aviation authority. So 23% were from Zipline. And so looking at that, I'm like, yeah, those are my core, that's my target audience. So I know that my content is reaching the people that I want it to reach. So this tool is really helpful because you can start putting out content and then you can analyze who's viewing it. And you can see okay, the people who are liking this are not my ideal clients. And so I need to tweak something to make sure, my content is reaching the people that I want it to reach. And yeah, I know that's the end of the presentation. And I know that I just shared a lot of information with you all, but I'm happy to spend a couple of minutes answering any questions that you might have. So yeah, thank you. I'm like, Joseph, are you going to come back on? Let's see if I can view comments in the... Yeah, and I can also see the comments from the YouTube group. So
let me check that. Okay, we currently do not have questions from here, but I'm just seeing comments from Samuel, just saying glad to be here. And okay, we just have compliments. Basically, these are great tips that you're sharing from Selena, myself from Kenya, and Suedi. Okay, just giving a compliment. Wow. Okay, this is informative. Okay. We currently do not have questions, but I must say that this is a very expository and profound class you've shared here. I personally use LinkedIn as well, and in the course of your presentation, I'm actually seeing my shortcomings as well, where I need to improve. And yes, it's so much amazing and massive presentation. Like this is focusing more on key points that you actually need to pay attention to if you really want to change your game on LinkedIn. Yeah. So I learned so much from this personally, and those have actually pinpoint some of your headlines. I'm actually going to work on it personally to also see how to upgrade myself. So it's a very wonderful and insightful class. So from our audience, we don't have any question yet. Uh, I would just say, okay, this is 53 minutes, 31 seconds. Okay, so do you have any other thing probably you just want to share with our audience? Probably things you also see that they can pay attention to, or basically just sharing?
Yeah, I think, well, and anybody that's still on, feel free to drop questions in the chat. Happy to stay and answer them. But yeah, I think and just I'm so happy to hear that this was helpful and it flagged some things that maybe weren't on your radar. I think a couple of points that I want to highlight are just one, again, this is focusing on LinkedIn, but I do really want to encourage people to think critically about, whatever platform they're using and making sure that, you're reaching your target audience wherever they are. And I shared these kind of like insider tips for LinkedIn, but I'm sure that there are, if you did, I don't know what would be relevant, but if you're using TikTok or Instagram, there are going to be a whole other set of insider tips. So whatever platform you're using, it makes sense to dedicate some time and energy to kind of learning how that system operates so that you can make sure that you're not, wasting your time and energy like creating something where you're posting at the wrong time or you don't know how the algorithm works. Just some basic understanding of how the platform works can really amplify the impact and the growth you have. The other thing I want to mention that I feel like it's really easy to talk about the tactical stuff that I just shared, but I think that putting yourself out there in any capacity is deeply, deeply uncomfortable for most people. I know it was for me. and there's a lot of imposter syndrome. It feels just really uncomfortable. And I just, yeah, I don't want to like ignore that, because I think for a lot of people, that's like the number one barrier that they have. And I think that the important thing to note is that, we need more smart, intelligent people creating, like initiating important conversations in the world. And so if you can kind of remove the imposter syndrome and just, think about like, okay, how can I add value? That's really helpful. Oh,
Okay,
I'm seeing
thank
a
you very
comment.
much. Yes, from our participant, Selena Musau, she's asking a question: do you use LinkedIn advertising? Probably ads and all of that.
Yeah, so Selena, I actually at this time I don't use LinkedIn advertising. I know that some organizations do. I actually, part of my business model is that I do brand partnerships with organizations, and so what that means is that organizations will come to me and they'll be like, "Hey, we want people in your audience to know about our product or service," and so they will pay me as like kind of like an influencer to create content to kind of like showcase the value of their product or service. And so I think that that is also starting to come out more and more, because like if you know that, you're trying to reach like people, my audience are like GIS and drone professionals. And so if you have a solution that's going to help that people, those types of people, it makes sense to kind of reach out to the people
Oh, what's happening? I think I lost you there.
Oh, yeah, I don't know where you all lost me.
Yes, you can come again, please. I lost you there, so probably can just give a recap around what is that. So,
Yeah, sorry. So the recap is that I do not personally use LinkedIn advertising, but actually companies will reach out to me that want to do brand partnerships with me to help. They want to show, their company or their product to my audience, and so we will work together to create content that kind of shows the value that they can bring to people that are, GIS professionals or drone professionals. And so, yeah, I think that there's LinkedIn is just releasing a number of new features around this uh, in terms of brand partnerships and like new forms of LinkedIn advertising. So it's definitely a good area to explore. And for different businesses out there, it is another monetization strategy to look into.
okay, thank you very much for answering that question. I think she also has one other more question. Yeah. Would you recommend LinkedIn user to use the platform to directly apply for jobs or do referrals? Go a longer way.
Yeah, so there's some statistic that that's like 80% of jobs are never posted. And so I think that that's something to be aware of, is that many jobs out there just are never even featured on LinkedIn because they hire people directly. So, while I think it's good to keep an eye on what's happening in the jobs they're posting on LinkedIn and creating filters, it's also really important to create a strategy for knowing, okay, who are the companies that you want to be working for, and be, having informational interviews and being in contact with them so that you can kind of bypass the job application process. With that, something that also happens, and like, I recently got a job this way where, somebody like reached out to hire me, but they, for legal reasons, they had to post the job on LinkedIn. And so I still applied via LinkedIn, but like we had already had a conversation that like I was probably going to get the job. And so that also happens a lot. And so sometimes when you're applying to jobs on LinkedIn, they might already be earmarked for other people. It's not always the case, and you can definitely certainly still get jobs that way, but it's really helpful to have that strategic networking plan in place so that you can, bypass and have a greater chance of success.
Okay. Well, that's very, very insightful. That's profound. Thank you very much, Selena Musa. I believe that answer actually helps you with your question. Like, okay, we have one other question here from Precious Abimbola. Um, she just giving a compliment in the first place. This is enlightening. Thank you so much. Okay, so our question is for me that have a lot of contents to put out there, but most of them are in the past. Probably she's just trying to see from her past activities, so she's trying to develop content from there. Then, how do I go about it, please? Do I start posting everything or just begin from my present achievements? So,
Yeah,
okay.
no, so you can definitely uh, pull content from the past, and in fact, I do this all the time. So I have, at this point, I've been creating content on LinkedIn for like 2 years, and my strategy is I typically do like a deep dive on different drones for good topics. But they're like, for instance, this year, I was really really busy during the month of January, and so I didn't have time to create all fresh new content. So what I did is I'm like, okay, like I know that I like a year ago I did a deep dive on precision agriculture. So I looked at my best performing posts from last year, and I kind of recycled them. I reviewed them. I made some updates. If there was anything that had changed, I might update them, and then I reshared them. And they still got a lot of engagement, a lot of likes. Because the thing is, a lot of like it's for us, for the people creating the content, it feels like, oh my god, I just shared so much and I put so much time and energy into this, and like I don't want to bore people. But you have to remember that um, each post is typically only seen by like 6% of your audience. So even if it feels like you're saying the same thing over and over again, like people aren't necessarily seeing every single piece of content that you put out there. And you're just like a moment in their day. So if you posted something like 6 months ago, like they probably won't remember it. So if you're wanting to like resurface your content, like definitely do it. Just make sure that you're recycling it in a way that makes sense. So like you're making any relevant updates to the post, or maybe you're adding a reflection. So let's say you did a project a year ago and you wanted to post a photo from it. Start the post by saying like, last year I did this project in XYZ. I was reflecting on it, and here's this new insight. Here's a little bit more about the project, etc. And so that's a good way to be able to kind of recycle content. I hope that answers your question. Happy to add more details if necessary.
Yes. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Precious Abimbola. I think the insights she shared with you will suffice and give an answer to your question. Yeah, this is a very, very interactive and amazing masterclass we've had here. Thank you so much for giving us from your wealth of experience, and this actually shows your professionalism, and I'm really, really amazed. And I'm glad we are connected on LinkedIn, so I'm still also learning from you. And okay,
Yeah, well, it's so
so
happy. It's so great to be here. This has been really fun. Yeah, and always happy to answer questions. And I would love to see more people creating content on LinkedIn. And yeah, if you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
okay. Okay, so in the absence of questions for now, so I would just say before you leave this webinar, can you share with us probably your pattern word or what you are just going to give to us as something like a mantra that we can always refer to that, okay, Kat James actually said this, and we something you can take home and also work on from your own hand. All right.
That feels like a lot of pressure, but um, yeah, I think maybe things that I focus on. I'll give you a couple of mantras. One I think is simplify to amplify. That's one that I have a lot, and so this applies to your LinkedIn strategy, but kind of all things in your business. Figure out how to do one thing really, really well, and it makes your life a lot easier. And kind of with that, I think try to focus on how can you serve with excellence, and be the best at that one thing that you do. And I think that it's so easy to kind of chase all these shiny opportunities, but I don't know, it feels really rewarding to narrow down and really focus on like honing your craft. And so, yeah, if it something that I try to think about when I'm doing my work is not viewing it as work, but viewing it as honing my craft. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but those are the things that come top of mind.
Okay. Also, I think I have a question to ask you before you go, and after that, we'll go. Okay. So, what's the correlation between BMC, that's Business Model Canva, and LinkedIn Personal Branding? Like, is there a relationship between them, or how can they be positioned to work hand in hand? If you have
Yeah,
anything to share.
definitely. So, and I'm sure you probably went over this with NO yesterday. Is that correct? Like, correct. But yeah, so it's very important to deeply understand what your business model is, and to create a clear marketing funnel. And with that, are these topics that are familiar? Did he mention this yesterday, Joseph?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the where LinkedIn fits into this, LinkedIn and your personal brand, it's the top of the funnel. So basically, it is how you are letting people know that you exist, and you're building credibility, you're building kind of this like trust factor. And the goal is that once you've kind of defined what your funnel is, your business funnel, and that's like a key part of your business plan, then you can use platforms like LinkedIn to get clients in and work through your business funnel. So let's say, yeah, the way it might work is, you're trying to land, again, avocado projects with avocado farmers. So you start creating a lot of content about that, and people in the ecosystem start to see like, oh, like, Kat's working with avocado farmers and she's an expert in that area. Then people will start engaging with your content, and then they might send you a DM or reach out to you, send an email, and then they're like, hey, I want to hop on a call to learn more about your work. Or like, do you have any reason? Or I might share like a resource with them. So you either like have a DM conversation, or you hop on a call. And then during that call, you can walk them through, what your offer is. And then, you can pitch them your services at the end of the call, or you can explore if there are any ways for you all to work together. So the way that you think about like LinkedIn personal branding, it's like, how do you leverage LinkedIn to get people into your funnel, so that you can ultimately get those sales and get those projects. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a whole lot of insight, and you actually give a very good answer to that. All right. So we are gradually coming to the end of this meeting. So they've shared with us a profound insight this morning, and it's a whole lot of learning, and having exposition around LinkedIn. So I'm seeing LinkedIn differently now. So I really need to up my game as well and do something differently. So thank you very much. So guys, we've actually come to the end of this meeting, and so because we don't have questions now, and we've actually touched all the essential and necessary factors we need to touch and talk about. So thanks so much once again, Miss Kat, for coming around. We sincerely appreciate you facilitating this section. So tomorrow we'll be having another insightful masterclass with Mr. Kenneth Obayuana, and that's on the topic the diary of agri-tech entrepreneurship. So he's going to be giving us insight around how he was able to navigate his own path from the lowest part, yes, to up. So like his trajectory, he's going to be sharing his story and all of that with us. So I believe you're all expectant. So the information will be shared on the main WhatsApp group for the communication, so we can actually have that at hand. All right. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining this meeting, and thanks so much for asking your questions too. So in each all of these questions, I've also learned from them personally, aside from the one I asked. And I believe this that we are doing, we are actually changing the paradigm of agriculture. Because it's a whole lot of learning from different professionals, from different experts, and we are in the era whereby the global population it's increasing and emerging, and we have to practice agriculture differently. So leveraging digital technologies that can help us to increase high yield, become more productive and efficient at food production and all other activities we do. So it's a very, very amazing time. We've had this is 1 hour 11 minutes, so it's such a long time here learning. All right, Mr. James, thank you very much. Though Mr. Femi is not available here, but he's extending his greetings, yeah, to me. So we appreciate you. Precision Field Academy says thank you very much, and we'll be glad to always have you going forward to always share your insight with us. Thank you.
No, thank you. And
Appreciate
yeah, if anybody's interested, please follow me on LinkedIn. I also share a weekly Drones for Good newsletter. And hopefully by the end of this week, I'm coming out with a new Drones for Good guide that has like hundreds of resources in the industry and features a bunch of different companies. So stay tuned for that as well.
Okay, okay. I believe our audience is going to reach out to you. They can actually search that on LinkedIn. Our name is Kat James. Just search for Kat James on LinkedIn. You will see what she's doing. You will be able to see her profile. And I believe they would love to connect with you. So,
Awesome.
all
Sounds great.
right.
Well, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.
Right, right. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
See, you can take your leave. All right, thank you. So, we put the stream to an end. So, thank you. All right, everyone. So we've come to the end of this meeting, and we are going to be ending this stream soon. So thank you very much for coming around. So we'll see you tomorrow. Um, the information will be communicated to you on the closed WhatsApp group. All right.